Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Conscious Living Spirit Center in this blessed day. We are so happy to be here once again, taking a few minutes of our time during the week to connect with our spiritual reality, with our spiritual nature, with God, and all the good things that come from our Creator. I would like to say good morning to Susanna. And Susanna, I hope you can hear and see us well. Just do a little technical check as usual. And while we welcome everyone who's been joining us, we hope you and your family members are well and healthy. And today, as usual, we will start with a reading from the book Our Daily Bread, from Francisco Cândido Xavier and the Spirit Emmanuel, with the title In the Presence of Jesus. And that's where we are right now, with him in our thoughts, in our hearts. Good morning, Lucia. And we'll go for initial prayer. And then we have today our dear brother Marcelo Netto with the topic Jesus Illuminates Our Path. So let's get started. So again, the book Our Daily Bread, lesson 57, In the Presence of Jesus. And Emmanuel described his thoughts around the passage written by Paul to the Colossians, chapter 3, in the letter to the Colossians, chapter 3:25. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. The understanding of service to Jesus among human beings will in the future reach greater depths for the glorification of the one who watches over us closely and who has done so since the very first day, illuminating our path with the divine light. If each educated person could ask themselves regarding the essential reason for his activities here on earth, they would always find in their inner sanctuary vast horizons of deductions of infinite value. For whom has he worked in his century? To whom has he offered the fruits of his everyday works? We do not wish to detract from respectable positions of the countries, the organizations, the families, or the personalities. However, we cannot fail to observe their expression of relativity. All these reasons are relative in time. In the course of the year, frontiers are modified, laws evolved, the domestic group is renewed, and mankind progresses towards more elevated destinies. Everything that represents effort in the part of man was accomplished through its own initiative in the field of permanent work for Jesus Christ. Whatever we realize through the centuries constitutes a benefit or an offense to ourselves in the labors that belongs to the Lord and not to us individually. Legislators and governed people depart in time with their own individual baggage, and Jesus remains in order to evaluate the advantage or disadvantage of the collaboration of each one of them, or each one of us, in the divine service of evolvement and enlightenment. Administration and obedience, the responsibility of tracing and following, are only subdivisions of the concession conferred by the Lord to the followers. In conclusion, dignified work is a saintly opportunity. within the circle of service, the attitude of each human being will either honor or dishonor their eternal personality in the presence of Jesus Christ. And with that, welcome to those who are joining us at this very moment. We would like to invite everyone for an initial prayer. So let's close our eyes and open our hearts and our minds to the divine inspiration that we are all receiving in these moments from the Creator, from our loved Father, an inspiration that comes from our beloved Master Jesus, our brother and model that guides humanity and assists us every day through his emissaries, who are often with us anonymously and may very well be the ones who inspired us to gather in these few minutes this morning. So we thank you for your love, for your benevolence, and for your support. Dear Master Jesus, be with us in these moments, helping us to connect to the lessons, being present in these very brief moments, reminding ourselves of the message that you exemplify to us through the most difficult paths, teaching us that everything passes, teaching us that we are immortal beings and that we have a bright and happy destiny awaiting for us. Dear Master, may the good spirits be with us in our homes, not only assisting us to understand the lessons this morning, but also helping all of our family members that they may all receive the assistance, the support, the inspiration that they need for their particular needs. And we ask, dear Master, please bless our dear brother Marcelo, who prepared with so much love to all of us the reflections that he's going to share with us in these brief moments. May he have the peace, the tranquility that he needs. Thank you, and so be it. And with that, dear friends, I would like to bring our dear Marcelo. Good morning, Marcelo.
Good morning, Marcos. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
And God bless you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here, sharing with all of you these messages that touches our heart in such a way that's the reason that this group was formed, and we have so many others spread out throughout this United States of America, trying to make a difference within. And one day we can reflect this transformation that we are going to establish little by little, step by step, inside of us, outside, in the world, in this beautiful country that we so much love. So Jesus illuminates our path. We have achieved great technological advancements in nowadays. Intellectuality, it grows by the minute, by the second, I would say. But yet we stagger behind on the aspect of the emotional being. So people have a hard time. We all have a hard time dealing with our feelings, with our emotions, and better yet, trying to deciphering what is what when it comes to our hearts and longings, things related to the soul. So perhaps this is why the World Health Organization has released several reports, and you can see, you can Google it, several reports and findings related to depression, and this organization states that depression is just like a contagious virus infecting people by the masses. That's why sometimes we see in this alarming news suicide numbers. They are growing by the second in a very alarming rate, especially in thriving countries like ours. So the World Health Organization reports, I saw this on a website that had a few numbers from 2019. I didn't went to the 2020, but this organization, the World Health Organization, reports that nearly 800,000 people die worldwide each year from suicide, which is about one person every second. So globally is the second leading cause of death for those between the ages of 15 and 24. 15 and 24 in their adolescence. So this is really alarming. So it seems as if while we advance in one area, I mean, like in intellectuality, in the intellectual area, another is not very well addressed. It's not properly addressed. I pick a question by the Spirit's book that allow me to read. It's question 780. That brings me something that Allan Kardec asks to the benefactors. In the March of Progress, he states something like that when he asks to the benefactors, does moral progress always follow intellectual progress? And the Spirit says, it is its consequence, but it does not always follow it immediately. And then Kardec keeps asking, how can intellectual progress lead to moral progress? By making good and evil understandable. For then, humans can choose between the two. The development of free will follows the development of intelligence and increases the responsibility of humans for their act. This is something really intriguing because it increases the responsibility for their acts. So it seems that we are lacking in this process of differentiating what is the right path that we have to follow, what actually should be illuminating our inner world. Because as we mentioned in the beginning, we see too much progress, so much progress in the intellectual world outside. But often it seems as if we have lost contact with and with ourselves, forgetting that the solution for finding the greatest treasure of all, I would say peace, the peace with capital P, lies within. Many start to believe that happiness is an utopia, giving up at haste to try and find it. This is something that happens. But Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism, could foresee this as an issue that would assail humanity in the future, which is why he was led to ask the benefactors, the high order spirits, the following questions. And allow me to read it again. It's question 942. What he says is, once some people think that these counsels about happiness are a little banal, once they see them as being commonplace or as platitudes, and once they say that the secret to happiness is to know how to bear up under misfortune, this is Allan Kardec's question. But the benefactor says, there are those who say that, and they are numerous. Many of them, however, are like ill persons for whom the doctor has prescribed a particular diet. They would like to be healed without any medications, and continue to hand themselves over to indigestion. Over to indigestion. So there is a prescription that is effective and accurate for achieving true happiness. And the doctor par excellence who prescribed was Christ. Not this figure that we sometimes make confusion as a revolutionary man, but the Christ that taught us something that could differentiate our lives in this very crucial moment in our existence. But the question is, in the search for happiness and joy throughout the centuries, how many of us have been willing to apply it to our lives, to our problems, and to the pain we feel? It is true that the message often touches our hearts and make us very emotional. You see, sometimes when I say something makes me feel very emotional when we read a message, we read the message, we heard the message that Marcus de Clay brought us in our daily bread in the beginning. It's very touching. We shed tears, applaud the teachings, hope for better days, but yet we don't apply these teachings that have been made available for all of us over 2,000 years. So it seems as if we carry out the following dialogue. It's something that we constantly bring this on our study groups. Master, I wish to be happy, but I'm not willing to change anything in my life. This is something that we do. We all do. And then adopting a very immature behaving, continue to carry on the very same approach, the very same habits, the very same expectations towards life, hoping for different results. This will not work. How can we accept that in human heart, two opposite feelings could coexist? How come rancor and happiness, hurt and harmony, hatred and peace could coexist? It won't work. And this kind of antagonist feelings cannot be supported in the same space within our souls. And this is why so many are unwilling to give up on their old ways. Because it takes work, lots of work, my dear friends. Happiness based on egoism, on immediacy, in hedonism. It's not actually a model that has been able to profoundly modify all of us. It's not this kind of model that we see nowadays in social media, in the television, in all around the world. It seems to me, and I think it seems to all of you, that his gospel, the gospel of Jesus, has not very well been understood, not very well profoundly, that there has to be something profoundly understood. I select like a few passages of the gospel, and especially on the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 7. This is something really that you all know by heart. Many of you ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be open to you. This is on the gospel over here that we see throughout the gospel. So many of us believe that divine providence would be a limitless fount, a limitless fount of wishes of our very immature and very inferior desires. We think many times, it's a condition of the spiritual immature being, still lacking on the moral progress of the soul. When Jesus states Ask and it shall be given you. He's not saying ask what you hope for, but rather what we need as immortal spirits. We need what? Ask courage to face the difficulties. Ask strength to overcome ourselves. To the old man, allowing for space for this new man, this new human being to grow. When he says, like, seek and you will shall find, seek the kingdom of heaven and all his justice and glory. This justice and glory that we don't understand within, and everything else we receive would be added based on the ability to handle that which we ask for, which is the development of the kingdom of heaven inside of our hearts. Based, of course, on the understanding and the development of the faculties of our hearts and souls. For where in Matthew 6, verse 21, what and where is our treasure? This treasure, because it says, like, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This is in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. What and where is our treasure? It is not a physical location. This should not come as a surprise, for we already understand, because we are immortal beings, and this physical life, as we all know, is just temporary. That we have reincarnated to develop those wholesome virtues. They're still like lacking. We are growing step by step. We know the intellectual progress is picking up to establish a moral level of understanding life in a wholesomeness. So that's why in question 132, also in the Spirit's book, I'm visiting all the times, this beautiful book, 132, that shows us something regarding to incarnation. The purpose of incarnation. What is the purpose of incarnation of spirits? God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection. To perfection. The answer is pretty much long, but this is the objective of incarnation. So, knock and it shall be open to you. In this passage that I mentioned like a few minutes before, once we have satisfied the first two phases of this passage, the doors towards this kingdom of peace will be open. Peace as understood by Christ in this revolutionary teaching. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give it to you. Not as the world understand, the world given to you. And he says something like, let not your heart be troubled, neither be it afraid, or something like that. I don't know exactly by heart. This is in the Gospel of John. I don't remember the chapter, maybe 14. It's stating in us that there's like a huge difference between the peace of the world and the peace Christ was offering to all of us. There comes a moment in our lives, my dear friends, where we question if everything we have sought in life externally offer us peace we hope for within. If we have read Paul and Stephen, this beautiful book, psychographed by Francisco Cândido Xavier, dictated by the Spirit Emmanuel. It's a must-read book. We're going to understand the trajectory of this man, Saul of Tarsus, that once before Jesus, in the road of Damascus, transformed his life in that tipping point of his existence. So we all have maybe this tipping point, this moment that we change our existence. We all have this road of Damascus. Which is yours? Which is my road of Damascus? What was the moment that I changed the way that I see myself, giving like steps, baby steps, and trying to achieve something much higher? Because this man, it's going to illuminate everyone's path. All we have to do is surrender. Surrender. There are additional passages that talk about the kingdom of heaven that we can extract very profound teachings. When we say, blessed are they who weep, for they shall be comforted, or blessed are the afflicted, it depends the translation that you see. They shall be comforted, they shall be consoled. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are they who suffer persecution because of righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. So this, let's stop a second. It's a reflection. These lessons that we can see in the Gospel of Matthew, the Beatitudes, and Spiritism comes to offer us a sort of like a gateway towards the understanding of what exactly these few Beatitudes that I extract from the Gospels of Matthew explains. We are going to understand the meaning that Jesus was bringing to all of us more than 2,000 years ago. Without certainty about the future, these maxims would be nonsense. Even more, they would be a falsehood. But then one must ask, why do some suffer much more than others? Why are some born into poverty and others into opulence without having done anything to justify such position in this lifetime? Why does nothing ever work out for some while everything seems to smile on others? Why we have this kind of difference? But what is even harder to grasp is seeing benefits and misfortunes so unequally divided between vice and virtues. This is something really interesting. So faith in the future, faith in these teachings, the Gospel's teachings and Jesus' teachings might offer to all of us consolation and lead us all to be a more patient man. But it does not explain these anomalies, which appear to belittle God's justice. We know this. So the vicissitudes of life are of two types. Or if we prefer, they have two different sources that we can address here. They're very important for us to differentiate. Some have their causes in the present life, others outside of it, like in the past. So on searching for the source of earthly misfortunes, it will be realized that many are the natural consequences of the character and behavior of those who bear them. Of course, how many of us fail due to our own fault? How many of us are victims of our own imprudence, our own pride, our own ambition? How many of us ruin ourselves for lack of discipline, for lack of perseverance, pardon my English, for wrong conduct, or not having our desires being limited? How many unfortunate marriages there are because they result from calculated self-interest or vanity, and because the heart has played no part. How many disagreements, how many disastrous arguments could have been avoided with more moderation and less problems, less susceptibility? How many ills and infirmities are the consequences of intemperance and excess of all kinds? We know this. We sometimes cut ourselves in a position that we put us to shame. We put us to shame. But if there are misfortunes in this life, of which all of us are the primary cause, there are others which, at least in appearance, are completely foreign to them, to us, and which seem to touch us in a very fatalistically way. What can be said of those children who die at a very young age and who knew of life only suffering? How can we tell a mother? This is something that I usually think in this very materialistic doctrines. How can we tell? How can we tell a suffering mother, blessed are those who suffer, who are afflicted, they shall be consoled, with the words, blessed are the afflicted, for they shall be consoled? Jesus is not indicating us for us to cross our arms and to accept anything. Jesus indicates simultaneously the compensations that awaits those here who suffer in the process of resigning themselves and understanding that there is a reason for everything. And we are not separate from the loved ones, the one that we love so much. The gospel, according to Spiritism, states that the pains, if we wait, actually, it's the message of the pain. It brings something that I would like to read to you. And these pains, if borne patiently, while you are on earth, will save you from centuries of suffering in the future life. Upon re-entering the world of spirits, humans are like laborers who show up on the payday. To some, the Lord will say, "Here is your pay for the days you worked." To others, the fortunate ones on earth, those who lived in idleness, who placed their happiness in satisfaction of self-centeredness and in worldly pleasures, he will say, "Nothing is owing to you since you received your pay while on earth. Go and begin your task again." For those who see only corporeal life, pain seems unending to them, and it presses on them with all its weight. It's a beautiful, it's on chapter 9, blessed are the meek and peace-loving. We are going to find many passages bringing us the lessons of patience. When the spirit friend and the message brought in Harv in 1862, bring us something that someone, without like going through all these experience, understanding this message, blessed are the afflicted, so they shall be consoled, would not understand. The spirit friend brings us that the pain is a blessing, and he's not talking about being someone that advocates something to suffer. Of course not. Pain is a blessing that God sends upon the elect. That's what he says. This is here. Pain is a blessing that God sends upon the elect. Therefore, do not become troubled when you suffer. Instead, bless Almighty God, who through the pain of this world has marked you out for glory in heaven. Be patient. Be patient. Patience, too, is a form of charity, and you must practice the law of charity taught by Christ, the envoy of Christ. So the spirit friend who writes this message, who has walked all his steps, their steps, and know it's not easy. He knows that it's not easy, but he keeps saying, because the message brings us something interesting. He says something like that, and I'm going to keep reading. Life is difficult, I know. It is composed of 1,000 nothings, which are pinpricks that end up hurting us. But we must consider the duties imposed on us, the consolations and compensations we receive in return, and then we will see that the blessings are more numerous than the sorrows. The burden seems less heavy when we look to heaven than when our brow is bent toward the ground. Courage, my friends. Christ is your model. A spirit friend. Are we on our own road of Damascus? Or have we come about it and chooses another one? Because I guess we already have like enough knowledge to choose. Where are we at this moment? When Saul of Tarsus loses his eyesight, when we learn about a very deep message behind all these things, that vision was now inwards. No longer Saul of Tarsus directing his eye vision towards the external aspects of life. We find that the peace of the world can often be compared to this is an expression that I usually use, that it's being compared to a stagnant body of water. Let's imagine a pond. It seems peaceful on the surface, but deep within, you can see sometimes the mud in that very deplorable condition. So the peace proposed by Christ is different. So it's completely different. How much energy do we are using to try sometimes to control everything outside, things that we don't have control, trying to play in a very immature way, playing God, believing that we are in control of everything, as if exterior factors held the happiness and the joy that we seek. So the peace proposed by Jesus is that of a serene conscience, of the certainty that everything is according to God's will, and it's guided by superior's law, very divine laws, immutable laws, and it is found in the faith in the future life and God's benevolence and justice. It is no longer that deplorable stagnant water that I mentioned in that pond, but a clear and very luminous fount, always in motion, always alive, always in abundance, always streaming, because it's a movement freely and connected to the divine providence. So the peace we find with Jesus' teachings and lessons is aligned with our awareness of the need to change within, of finding oneself in the good fight. In the good fight. Paul of Tarsus stated in the end of his life, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. That's what he says. So this good fight that we are being established since, I don't know. We can look into the world outside and hear the commotions and the loud noises of hatred, battles of egos. We see battles of ego, but yet inside we hear the calm waters of peace, reminding us that the battles, it's not out there, it's within. The good fight. Leon Denis, Leon Denis is a beautiful writer. Following Allan Kardec's steps, states that the secret of happiness is found in the construction of the better self, investment made in our behalf. We are no longer enslaved by exterior motives, but rather free. This is his word. Rather free to develop and cultivate the virtues within. So during this pandemic times, We can take advantage of this situation while being isolated to consider the following. We have one challenging situation and two manners in which we can react. One way is to observe and see what we can learn from all of this. Pray, meditate while taking precautions, of course, doing our part, our duties, our responsibilities. Faithfulness in God, faithfulness in Jesus' gospel. Another attitude, another behavior is by rebelling, by becoming desperate or irrational, promoting hatred, promoting inquietude, or you name it. So one situation and two ways that we can react. But the choice is ours. Which way we would like to pick. Another great lesson that I would like to bring from Jesus, because he illuminates our path. It's contained in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13. Beautiful passage, the parable of the net. And he brings like the kingdom of heaven. It's just like a net that was cast into the sea and caught all kinds of fish. When the net is full, the men pull it ashore. Then he sat down, sorted the good fish into containers, and threw the bad fish away. It's natural. We all know this. So this parable of net, it's beautiful. So every single day, we find ourselves on our own boat. We fish daily, my friends. We fish dailies. We fish emotions. We fish challenges. We fish ideas. We fish thoughts. We fish all these kind of fish. But at the end of the day, how many of us reserve some time to sort the good fish from the spoiled ones, the big from the small? Do we conduct at the end of the day this mental hygiene as much as we are aware of the needs to conduct the normal body hygiene, if I can use this kind of example? Because we cannot fight the good battle when we keep the symbolic, I'm going to put symbolic in quotes, catch of the day, hatred, resentment, hurt, whatever. So this is why on one of the spirits of the codification, St. Augustine brought us the recipe for joy, found in his answer to question 919a of the Spirit's book. You all know this question by heart. I know. When Allan Kardec brings like, what is the practical way for us to sort out this kind of feelings? How is the best way for us to better ourselves? And St. Augustine's bring us something. Do what I used to do when I was living on earth. At the end of the day, I examine my conscience, I review what I have done and ask myself whether or not I had failed to fulfill some duties. And we are able to sort out what kind of fish I want to keep it for me, the resentments or the fish of the good faith, of the charity, of love. So we see in these examples very well aligned with the parable of Jesus. We see these passages that I mentioned, the parable of the net, this question 919, a connection. How many of us at the end of the day when we throw our net, capturing all kinds of emotions, problems, whatever we get, at the end of the day we sort out and see which one belongs to me. The one that belongs to the immortal spirit, not this immature man or woman that is still struggling, trying to see reason for his life. On the Gospel of John 16:13, Jesus bring us, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world, we all are going to have trouble. I'm making a little adaptation of his teachings. But take heart, I have overcome the world. How could Jesus have stated this if he was crucified? The question truly is, this is really interesting because when we make this analysis by the eyesight of one lifetime, Jesus was a loser. He was crucified. Oh my God. It's not something that we expected for someone, the master of this planet, our master, our guide and model. The question truly is how I am analyzing this lesson from Christ and what happened with the immortal eyesight, that of the Christ. That of the Christ. That of the Spirit, I'm sorry. Where did Christ go after his crucifixion? Where did he go? And where did Pilate and Caesar, supposed to be the victors of the world, the temporary world, went? How many people discarnate and leave the physical world in the condition of apparent conquerors and arrive in the spirit world as failed spirit beings? How many others leave this world in the apparent condition of losers and enter the spirit world in the condition of illuminated beings? Illuminated beings. My kingdom is not of this world. You can see this in the gospel according to Spiritism on chapter 2. In chapter 2. And one of the message that I loved very much, it's on this chapter, on chapter 2, that I have to read because it's so profound, it's so beautiful. It's on the Spirit teachings. My kingdom is not of this world. Allow me to read. An earthly kingship. Who better than I can understand the truth of these words of our Lord? My kingdom is not of this world. I lost myself in pride while on the earth. Who then could understand the insignificance of earth's kingdom if not I? What of my earthly kingdom did I bring back here with me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. As if to make my lesson more terrible, it did not even accompany me to the tomb. I was a queen amongst men. As a queen, I thought I would enter the kingdom of heaven. Such delusion, such humiliation, when instead of being received as a sovereign, I saw above me, far above me, beings who I had deemed quite small and who I had despised because they were not of noble blood. Oh, how I then understood the bareness of the honors and grandeurs that I so eagerly sought on earth. In order to prepare oneself for a place in this kingdom, self-denial, humility, charity in all its heavenly forms, and benevolence towards all are required. You were not asked who you were or what position you occupied, but what good you did, the tears you wiped away. Oh, Jesus, you said that your kingdom is not of this world, because one must suffer in order to reach heaven, and the steps of a throne cannot lead us to it. Only the most trying path of life do. Therefore, seek your path through the briars and thorns, and not amongst the flowers. People run after earthly things as if they were able to keep them forever. But here there are no more illusions. They soon perceive that they had only been chasing a shadow, and that they had neglected the only possessions that were solid and durable, the only ones they could use in the heavenly home, the only ones that give them access to it. Have pity on those who have not gained the kingdom of heaven. Help them with your prayers, for prayer brings people closer to the Most High. It is the link of union between heaven and earth. Do not forget that. A Queen of France. This message was given in the city of Havre in 1863. This is a beautiful message that we can simply make a comparison of what kind of life are we having at this moment. True virtues are often established based on how we interrelate with others, being patient, being tolerant, forgiving the offenses, and loving more and more. So, this is why sometimes pain and tribulations are blessings if we know how to take advantage of them. There's no doubt that Christ is with us. The question is, are we with him? Are really we with him? That's the message that I'm trying to share with you in these days that we face so many challenging complications and situations. And now it's the choice that we have to pick. We know that we're not going to be saints overnight, and this is a process that will take like many incarnations, many steps. But my invitation for you, the invitation that I have been making to myself, is to don't lose more time. Get on, be courage, and transform yourself little by little, analyzing what you're doing to become one day in conjunction with the Divine Master that always been with us, illuminating our path. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope I was clear in my few points, bringing some kind of understanding about the true meaning of the gospel of Jesus, and wishing you all a Merry Christmas, a blessing December, a blessing moment in your existences. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Marcelo, we are the ones thanking you for this gift. Thank you so much. Beautiful reminders for us of the teachings of Jesus in a very pure way. So thank you. I feel, and I think many of those who are here with us, we feel energized and encouraged to persevere. It feels like at the end of the week when our batteries are running out of batteries, listening to the teachings of Jesus and going so deep in our hearts really recharges our batteries. So thank you for reminding us about this.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Thank you.
And before the initial prayer, I just want to share here Andrea's suggestions. I just put on the screen a book. At the end of the year is here. We often think about gifts for the people we love, and most often than not, we think about something material. Here's a suggestion, maybe something spiritual, right? The book Jesus in Our Days by Divaldo Franco and the Spirit of Joanna de Angelis, which you can find on lealpublisher.com. And another one that Marcelo mentioned is one of my favorite books, Paul and Stephen. Oh my goodness. This is an amazing story of Paul of Tarsus and Christianity in itself. And it's actually the story of all of us, I dare to say, because the transformation that Paul goes through, in a sense, is the transformation that we are all going through, or we will go through one day. It's inevitable. It's the law of progress. So thank you, Marcelo. Here's another suggestion for a gift for someone you love, or to ourselves.
It's a must book to read. Yes, it's a Christmas gift that it's incomparable. There's no price on the face of the earth. And you said it well. It's a book that it brings us the story of the initial Christians, and we could relate sometimes with our own stories, of course, in this moment of discovering this message this man that we don't understand very well, and we make sometimes correlations with our very relative way of seeing things. But what his invitation was way much profound that we are capable to understand. That's why sometimes I say surrender to the love. It's more like an emotional experience than the rational experience. That's why the spiritual being we're going little by little, and the intellectual wing of the spirit are going to develop first, to one day to invite us to the moral aspect, and we'll see. Okay, now I understand. Once we surrender, once we start like loving with baby steps, but it's to come. It's to come to all of us.
Thank you, brother. And with that, would like to invite everyone for a final prayer. And then we have two quick announcements to make. So, dear brothers and sisters, with all these blessings in love and positive messages in our hearts, filling us with hope and encouragement and joy for our lives, let's thank once again our beloved Master Jesus for his ultimate sacrifice to all of us, for his benevolence, for never losing the hope, the trust, and the love that will stand up again and follow his footsteps. Thank you, Master. And please be with us. May our hearts and our minds be illuminated by your lessons and the reminders that we receive every day in the most unexpected ways, and in meetings like this as well. May we all have the courage, the will, the desire, the strength to remove the fog and the clouds that make our visions so short-sighted. May we have the courage, the strength, and the will to keep our immortal destiny in sight at all times. May our good spirits find the space in our hearts and our minds to help us to control our eyes so we may see the positive side of things in front of each other. May they can help us, and may we have the courage and the desire to control our mouths and our tongues so we can speak positively about everything, about ourselves, about others, about our lives. May our hands and our minds also, may we choose, Master, to use them to construct, to build a new future, more aligned with your vision, with your teachings. And may our feet take us to places that can help us to reach our objective in this existence. Thank you, Master. Please bless our homes and our family members who are close or who are far, who are here on earth or maybe already in the spiritual realm. And please give the same strength, the same hope to those in the hospitals, to those who are hurting, to those who see their family members going back to their spiritual homes and may be in pain. Thank you, Lord, and we ask your permission to end our humble gathering this morning. Thank you, and so be it. And with this, dear friends, we do have a reminder that I'm going to post here, which is super exciting. We do have a year-end gathering planned on December 21st. So thank you, Susanna, for the reminder. At 7:30 p.m. It will be a Monday. So it's a great opportunity for us just before Christmas to get together with our spiritual family, reflect once again the message of Jesus, reflecting the year behind us and the year ahead. So here's the invitation from the Conscious Living family to all of us. And finally, we know that we have our physical doors closed, but Conscious Living continues full steam ahead with our operations. And for those who can make a contribution, any humble contribution count. Over Marcelo there's a little QR code. So if you can make a contribution, there you go. Thanks, Marcelo. Please do help us. And if you cannot, it's also okay. The most important thing for us is to be here with you all every day. And we wish you a blessed Sunday and a blessed week ahead. So thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Marcelo, once again.
Thank you, Marcos. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.